Wow. Hey, what's up? Man, got all choked up all of a sudden. How's everybody doing? Well, man, crazy. All choked up. Anyway, oh boy, how's it going? I'm sure everybody heard today about Miss Pam Bondi testifying today. I'm not even going to talk about that because what happened was exactly what I thought was going to happen. What happened was exactly what I thought was going to happen. She got up there and clowned like she did the last time she testified. She got in front of folks and just started talking crazy, talking disrespectful. Hey, what's going on? How are you? How you doing today? Miss Elise in the house. Yo, Pam Bondi got up there and acted a fool today in front of the Congress. And, I don't even know why they called her in because we know that's what she was going to do anyway. I guess you have to get her on record. You have to get a record of what she's going to say, I guess, for the trials that may come out if the uh, opposition party ever takes over. Who knows if that'll ever happen? So, they had the hearings. She wouldn't face the victims. They had the victims sitting behind her. She wouldn't face the victims. Oh well, it is what it is. And they asked her a bunch of questions, and she was disrespectful in every way. Started talking about the stock market. They wasn't there about no stock market. They was there about Jeffrey Epstein files, and that's what I'm going to talk about this evening. I'm going to talk about the Epstein files because that's about to rock the boat. That's about to rock the boat. So, but before I get into that, now I got some comments after I got off the air last time about the video I played of the guy telling the woman he just a boyfriend. He ain't, he ain't doing no husband stuff. He just a boyfriend. If you didn't see that video, go watch the last episode. Uh, but I got some comments after I got off the air that was pretty interesting, and right along what I would expect to hear. A couple of women left comments, and for that purpose, I'm gonna play the opposite to that. I'm gonna play what I've been hearing for many a year. I'm gonna play the woman side of that, the woman version of that. Matter of fact, in a minute, because like I said, then um, I've been hearing this forever. I've been hearing this forever about women saying I'm not doing no domestic stuff until you put a ring on this finger and all of that. Well, that woman wanted him to do domestic shit like pay for all her shit, So, hey, what's up, Charles? How you doing, man? What the heck? You mean to tell me this stuff is actually matched up today? Wow. How'd that happen? Man, this stuff actually synced up today. Huh. Anyway, so I'm gonna play that. And um we'll get a look at that. And then I'm gonna talk about, the Epstein files because the Epstein wow, and I got a conspiracy I'm gonna put out there too. I got a conspiracy that popped into my head today. And it's because of the news from yesterday. I was watching the news yesterday and certain things went on. And I got this idea this morning. I'm going to let y'all in on it in a minute. But right now, I'm going to play this video. And this is the video, I believe, of um, the opposite of what I played the other day. The one I played the other day was the boyfriend. Now here's the girlfriend side of that.
I'm talking to sent me money for groceries, $300 because I didn't have any food. Then I get a text from him later asking me to cook him dinner. Told him no because I'm not his wife. And I only cook for my kids and my husband. And he's neither of them. Now I'm blocked, shaking my head. Like, who asks a woman to cook for them before he puts a ring on it?
Okay, now y'all remember the video from Monday? Okay, y'all remember the video from Monday? Oh, a sister girl was salty because he said he don't do that kind of stuff unless she a wife. Now this is what women been saying. I've been hearing this for years. Okay, so hey, just because a men starting to say it now, what can I tell you? I think they right on. As a matter of fact, I feel like this. I got another video of how I'm gonna be for the rest of this year. Okay, this how I'm gonna be for the rest of this year, right here.
No, I don't give a fuck. I don't give no fucks. I used to give it then, I do not give it now. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give no fucks. I used to give it then, I do not give it.
Okay, that's how I'm gonna be. That's how I'm gonna be the rest of this year. All right. Shoot, that's how I'm playing. I ain't bullshitting. Oh. So, like I was saying, I've been hearing that other stuff so long about what they ain't gonna do as long as they ain't married. Boy, hecky no, hecky no. Uh, uh, and hey, we can all play that game. I guess the men is saying, hey, if I ain't married, I ain't doing it. Hey, everybody should be happy about that. Okay? So, it is what it is. Excuse me. Now, before we get into this, there's another thing that somebody sent me. My neighbor sent this to me, and I've been meaning to get into this a little bit, and that's this dude um, trying to rename every damn thing. I guess he seems to. I guess he feels like he needs to rename everything in the world after him. I guess he thinks everything should be named after him. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't get it. Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. I don't get it. So anyway, here's a video my neighbor sent me, and I'm gonna play it. And it's almost it's almost like the man is just he trying to build some kind of crazy legacy while he's alive. But you can only build a legacy if you honest. If you dishonest, well, I guess if you dishonest, you can build a legacy too. It would just be known as a dishonest legacy. So here's the reporting from last week on him wanting to rename all of these stations after him. It's crazy. Check it out.
major transit hubs, offering federal funding in exchange. But some lawmakers are fighting back. ABC's Karen Travers with the latest.
President Trump has made it clear he likes to see things named after himself. He's added Trump to the Kennedy Center, the U.S. Institute for Peace. The Navy last December announced plans for a Trump class of battleships. And just this week, he unveiled TrumpRx.gov, a new government website to help consumers find cheaper prescription drugs.
There's never been anything like it. It's called TrumpRx.gov.
But he's fighting his home state now over funding for a massive infrastructure project. Sources now tell ABC News President Trump last month told Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer that he would be willing to unfreeze $16 billion in funding for construction of a tunnel connecting New York and New Jersey, if Schumer would agree to rename New York's Penn Station and Washington's Dulles Airport after him. Sources told ABC News Schumer rejected Trump's offer. New York Governor Kathy Hochul posting a response on social media, a photo of Trump Tower named Hochul Tower. The Hudson River Tunnel project had already started, but the Trump administration paused the funding during the government shutdown. Officials in New York and New Jersey say if the money isn't freed up by today, the project will stop, leaving around 1,000 construction jobs in jeopardy. New York and New Jersey officials have taken their fight to court. They're asking a judge today to declare the Trump administration's funding suspension unlawful and to order payments to restart immediately.
There has been no comment from the White House on the president's demands to change the names of the airport and the train station, and no comment from Senator Schumer's office of his rejection of it. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Again, this guy just wants to put his name on everything in New York. I guess he just wakes up in the morning and just looks at something and says, I want my name on that too. I want this, I want that. And I guess he wants to see this before he dies or something, before he checks out. Because, of course, you have to know, even if they did it, it's coming down. You know it's going to come down. I don't get it. I just don't get it. The man must be just losing it, I guess. He must be just absolutely losing it. So apparently Chuck Schumer laughed at him when he said it. I'm surprised Chuck Schumer didn't try to negotiate something, All I know is I wouldn't be surprised if he turned around and got Chuck Schumer to let him do it. Well, I tell you what, that would surprise me. I don't know if it wouldn't be surprising to me if he didn't just send some people out there and put his name on it the way he did the Kennedy Center. Maybe he just sent some folks out there and said, hang my name on it. And they went and did it. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. So I'm going to move on to what I was talking about a minute ago. And that's a conspiracy theory that I came up with that I thought was pretty darn interesting. Now, me and some other folks have been throwing it back and forth about Miss Savannah Guthrie from NBC's mom was abducted, apparently, and that has been the coverage ever since. And we've been going back and forth about why would anybody abduct an 84-year-old lady? Nobody can seem to figure that out. Why would they abduct an 84-year-old lady? Especially to the mother of a celebrity, yes, but she's not like some super wealthy celebrity by any means. And kidnappers very rarely from watching the detective shows all my life, most kidnappers don't want any of this publicity that they get. Most kidnappers, and then a week later, there's a video of the guy on the porch. Now, did they have this video from day one? I hope they did. I hope the first day they got this video off the Ring camera and just wasn't showing anybody. Let's assume that, because if they did not have that video and only got it this week, that would be somebody just thought to get the video off the camera. So let's assume they already had it. Now they're showing this guy, this figure with the mask on. Something ain't adding up. Why would you grab an 84-year-old lady and just snatch her up and, This morning when I woke up, and for like what has it been, 8, 9 days, 10 days that they've had her, it's the only thing on the news this morning. It was the only thing they talked about. They had 10 seconds. They had 10 seconds of Pam Bondi going to be testifying today in front of Congress. 10 seconds of that. They literally had nothing about what happened yesterday. For those of you who don't know what happened yesterday, I'll tell you what happened yesterday. Yesterday, members of, I forget which committee it was. Doggone it. Can't remember the committee. But these members were allowed to see the Epstein files yesterday unredacted. Okay? I got to thinking, what wouldn't they want in the news cycle this week? Now, I ain't saying this is what happened, but who could kidnap an 84-year-old lady who needs medications and keep her alive? Have the medications she would need and just keep her in the news to make sure the news cycle did not creep over to what's going on with the Epstein files this week. Conspiracy theory? Who could do that? Now, these members of Congress got to see. Now, of course, they couldn't read all 3 million documents in one day. But for the time they were there, they got to see all manner of stuff unredacted. Okay? Unredacted. Now, there were some comments made when they came out. I'm going to play some of these comments that they made when they came out of those meetings where they got to read the documents unredacted, where you could see all the names of the people and all of that stuff. Okay? I'm going to play this right quick, and we're going to talk about it.
I've tried to shoot a video now probably a dozen times trying to tell you about what I saw in the Epstein files. And honestly, it's just so depraved and it's sick and it's not a cabal. It's so much bigger than a cabal. It is a vast network of rich and powerful people believing they can do whatever they want to girls and women. And I just want to do right by the survivors. When I go before Pam Bondi tomorrow in judiciary, I want to do right by those survivors. And that's weighing on me because they've been so ill-treated for so long. And we have a responsibility to show up for them with everything we've got. With everything we've got.
What I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files. So that's the first thing that I saw. It took some digging to find them. Then I'll let you talk about what you saw.
Well, and we discussed that. I mean, there are 6 men, some of them with their photographs that have been redacted, and there's no explanation why those people were redacted. And Thomas discovered it through his MIT logic with some of the searches. But, you know, that's really concerning.
There are 6 men. We went in there for 2 hours. There's millions of files, right? And in a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted who are implicated in the way that the files are presented.
You know, what's your message to Pam Bondi after what you saw today?
Need to do a little more work. And I would like, I mean, we'll see her at the Judiciary Committee here in a couple of days.
At the very least, these 6 men, maybe she can make public. I mean, we're happy to provide the information to them, and they should do that.
Are these men U.S. citizens? What fields do they work in? Is it finance? Is it political?
At least one is a U.S. citizen. At least one is a foreigner. And the other 3 or 4 have names. I'm not sure if they're foreign or U.S.
And which field do they work in? Is it finance, banking, political?
One is pretty high up in the foreign government.
And some are, one of the others is a pretty prominent individual. But I think that the point is that these 6 are just what we found in 2 hours of a review of the files that aren't redacted. The broader issue is why so many of the files they're getting are redacted in the first place.
Asking the Department of Justice to unredact something that you saw that you saw today. It is currently redacted. There's no legal reason why you couldn't say what it is. And so do you just want to give the department an opportunity? And if they do unredact it, what does that tell us? And then secondly, did you see anything else in the unredacted documents today, like names that were previously redacted for the American people? And will you make those names public?
Yeah, I saw some names that I think may be now public. I haven't checked. Look, I take this very seriously. I was at the Department of Justice for 10 years. I think redactions should not be taken lightly and should be taken very seriously. I am going to give the department a chance to unredact it. What we have seen is when Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna have flagged documents that have no reason to be redacted, you see Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, scrambling to unredact them and put them back up and say, oh, we're not hiding anything, we're putting everything up. It should not require members of Congress to be going through the 3 million documents and saying, well, why is this redacted? Why is that redacted? And then having the Department of Justice say, okay, I'll undo it.
Then is that not the reason then for the members to, You are very proactive and right on, I think a lot of people would say, on many sides of this, on many of these issues. But when it comes to this Department of Justice, do they deserve the presumption of, do they deserve the deference that a normal Department of Justice should get? Why not just pull the rug from under them?
They definitely do not deserve it. But I think that if we go down this rabbit hole where we are tit for tatting every single thing the department does, we're going to run into problems down the road. That being said, they are setting the precedent and they are laying the groundwork. And I will tell you that from my vantage point and my perspective, I am going to be following the precedent that they have been setting come January 2027 when we're in the majority, and we're going to be holding them to it. And so if they don't unredact it tomorrow, I'm happy to talk about it. But I'll give them a chance.
All right. Well, we want you to come back and talk about it, and we want you to keep digging in that minefield of.
Okay, look here. Now let's talk about this. So what we know now is, and it was the Judiciary Committee. That's what I had forgotten. So what we know now, by the way, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and subscribe and, do that sort of thing. What we know now is that the Judiciary Committee had 2 hours, and in 2 hours they came up with 6 different people that are implicated in doing horrific stuff. Now, I've seen videos from other members that were talking about some of the stuff that they saw. My question is, and I would have asked this gentleman too, Goldman, I would have asked him too, why are you hiding the names you saw? There's no legal reason for you to hide the names that you saw, not tell the American people who you saw in the files and what they were doing. Somebody tell me, somebody give me a reason why they literally went in and saw these people and then want to say, we're going to give Pam Bondi the opportunity to unredact the stuff for the American people. Explain that to me. Why do you think these people are going to do the right thing? They're not going to do the right thing. They never do the right thing. Put the 6 names out there and go back next week and find 6 more, and go back next week and find 6 more. Find 6 more until it ain't no more. Find 6 more till it ain't no more. And he says, it's not the job of Congress to go in and look for stuff that should be unredacted. Yeah, I don't care if it ain't your job to do that. Go in there and do it. Go in and do it. And expose these pedophiles. That's the problem. Now here you giving the pedophiles more time to put more pressure on and get rid of more stuff, get rid of more evidence, like they're going to do. I don't understand it. I do not understand it at all. Somebody make me understand, because I don't get it. These people that are supposed to be the on the right side of this still want to make nicey with these crazy ass people running this show right now. These crazy people that's running this show have already shown you that they're crazy. Already shown you that they are crazy. You went in. What was the purpose of going in and seeing the names? What was the purpose? What was the purpose of going in and looking through the files and looking at all the stuff that was going on in them and seeing the names and the deeds that was being done, only to come back out and not say anything? What did you need to see them for if you're not going to say anything about it? Well, fortunately, Fortunately, people outside of this country are not getting it so easy. People outside of this country are taking a beating, like over in the UK and France and Israel. They taking a beating because the people over there are finding out who the pedophiles are. They finding out who the pedophiles are, and they throwing these bastards out of office. Now, I'm pretty sure, and what I didn't know is these people, all of these people, now understand something. Let's understand this. This is how bad this is. This goes back to George W. Bush. All right? This goes all the way back there. When Obama came in, Obama had all this information. Okay? Attorney General Holder had all this information. Trump won, came in. They had all this information. Biden had all this information. And none of them did a thing. None of them did a thing. That is so incredible to me because this goes so high. These people are so high up that are the pedophiles and doing so much stuff, so much unspeakable shit that they were doing. That all of these presidents knew what was going on. Some participated. Yeah. Well, we know one did. We know the one we got now did. We know that. But, I would not be surprised if Bill Clinton participated. I wouldn't be surprised. I can't say he would have been with a child. I couldn't say that. But we already know, his fidelity was weak. We already know that. So why would it be far-fetched to think that to think Bill Clinton was there, getting his freak on? But we know the clown we got now is a pedophile. He told us he was a pedophile. He told us he liked to go in the dressing room with the 13-year-old girls. He said he loves going in the dressing room with them while they naked. Watch them get dressed, We know he a pedophile. That came out of his mouth. And that's the crazy thing. The man literally told the world he was a pedophile, and they voted for him anyway. Voted for him 3 times. For a man that told you he is a pedophile. That's crazy. He literally said it himself. Hey, I'm a pedophile. I like to go in the kiddies' dressing room and watch the little naked girls. Well, what you doing when we ain't around? You did that when people was around. That's the craziest part about it. Now, I'm going to play a little clip right now of what's going on over in Britain, okay? And I found this. It's mind-blowing because we only thinking about the guy here, okay? That's all we thinking about right here is the guy right here. Now, I remember years back when Prince Andrew, I don't know if y'all remember Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was a great friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew was married to Fergie. Sarah Ferguson. Remember Fergie? Fergie was kind of a freak too. I think everybody kind of knew Fergie was a freak because she was married to Prince Andrew. Got to be a freak to be married to a freak, right? We all know that. Fergie cut out finally after it got hot because Andrew got caught dipping in, got accused by a little girl. Okay? The pictures came out of him with the little girl. So here's what they're talking about in Britain, over in the UK. Check it out.
Jeffrey Epstein was inviting people to dinner with him in Buckingham Palace. He had the run of the Queen's Airfield, had the run of the royal palaces, was able to bring in Harvey Weinstein, God help the daughters, the debutantes that were at that dinner. Epstein has destroyed the British royal family. It'll be the end if King Charles, God bless his cotton socks, were to snuff it right now. It would be the end of the British monarchy after 1,000 years or so. It's also true, and now undeniable, that Epstein had the run of Downing Street as well as Buckingham Palace. He met Tony Blair in Downing Street. Why? Why did the British Prime Minister find time to entertain a real estate guy from New York? What was special about Jeffrey Epstein, who only a few years earlier had been working in London in the office of Robert Maxwell, the greatest thief of the 20th century in Britain? And Epstein was his office boy, learning the ropes. We know from Epstein that the Mossad whacked Maxwell despite decades of service by him to them. And the same Mossad must have whacked Epstein, if indeed Epstein is dead. And they whacked him for a similar reason. Epstein says they whacked Maxwell because he was a danger to them. He was threatening to reveal all if they didn't stump up $400 million to bail him out of his most pressing financial crises at the time. Well, if the Mossad whacked Jeffrey Epstein, it was because they could not afford for him to go to court as he was destined to do, because he might tell all. So if he was suicided, that's why he was suicided. There is also the outside possibility, my son believes it in his bones, that Epstein is not in fact dead but was switched and is alive and presumably well in the paedophile paradise of Benjamin Netanyahu's Israel, to which all accused of paedophilia who can do flee. The Epstein files reveal that she and Jeffrey Epstein and a British Prime Minister had a threesome. Now, the more tender of my audience will not know what a threesome is. Well, it basically means that a British Prime Minister and Jeffrey Epstein made a kind of sexual sandwich of Ghislaine Maxwell. I know it is difficult to contemplate, especially when you begin speculating who that Prime Minister might, indeed must have been. There are some who think it was Liz Truss. I don't myself. There are some who think it was little Rishi Sunak, but I'm not sure he could have pulled that off, if you get my drift. There are some who believe that it was Theresa May, but I don't believe Theresa May would ever do such a thing. There are some who believe it was Gordon Brown, but I know it wasn't Gordon Brown. Some think it was Tony Blair. After all, he was banging Rupert Murdoch's wife, the Chinese one, in Murdoch's ranch, when Murdoch was doing everything he could to sustain Tony Blair's political career. But I think I know which Prime Minister it was. That should have been the poll for tonight. Which Prime Minister did a threesome with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, where did they do it? Was it in Downing Street? Or in Buckingham Palace? Or Balmoral? I am certain that this threesome, this gruesome threesome, was completed by none other than Boris Johnson.
Now, before I go on with that, could you imagine that? Can you imagine what's going on around the world with these crazy ass folks? These rich ass people around the world just clowning. Just clowning. And just breaking every rule there is you can break. You got, and the thing about, funny thing about, he said something about where the pedophiles run to, flee to, going to Israel. I just recently ran across a report from a organization that goes to Israel to hunt down pedophiles and sex offenders that have run from the U.S. to hide in Israel. I had no idea that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. The wealthy pedophiles that get caught here and sex offenders, to avoid going to jail, run to Israel, and Israel will hide them. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. You can hide in plain sight in Israel if you're a pedophile. That's crazy. Let's hear some more of this dude.
About male rape. We're talking about female rape. We're talking about child rape. We're talking about child impregnation. We're talking about male sodomy of drugged victims. We're talking about president after president of the American Republic accused in FBI documents of raping men and women, boys and girls. We're talking about murder. We're talking about cannibalism. We're talking about the eating of human flesh, sacrificed in satanic rituals. And it's all in the Epstein files. There's millions and millions and millions of pages to see here. And on virtually every page, another politician, another magnate of the capitalist system all over the world is revealed to be just about subhuman in their appetites, just about demonic in their proclivities, in their predilections. And they talk to each other about it in writing, in emails, in messages. They talk about torture. They talk about killing. They talk about murder. They talk about kids. They talk about child trafficking. They talk about the impregnation in the last few minutes of an 11-year-old girl by the former U.S. ambassador to Mexico. Wow. It's breathtaking, and it keeps on coming. It's like a torrent of sewage. It's impossible to keep track of it. It's only when you go back and start to painstakingly analyze it that you see the sheer depth of depravity, of degeneracy. It turns out I'm the only politician in the Western world that isn't cheating on his wife, that's never sodomized anybody, never dreamt for a second of the depravities involved in these Epstein files, and they're all at it. The captains of industry, generals of industry, they're now resigning as these revelations come out. The royal families of Scandinavia one of the princesses. She might even have been the queen. I don't know. A bicycling queen, but a queen was impregnated by Jeffrey Epstein. And then he encouraged her, which he presumably did, to have an abortion. It is unbelievable.
You know, I was not going to even attempt. Again, there was 3 million documents, 3 million pages of documents. I wasn't going to attempt to read through that stuff. And I'm probably still not going to attempt to. But everybody that I saw yesterday, because there was several other people on that committee that went in and read documents, and they came out of that meeting and were like they had been changed from some of the stuff they saw. And I'm like, okay, now that you've seen it, tell the American people that when you gonna let us know what was going on. Now, apparently in the UK, they're like voting no confidence on their prime minister, because their prime minister is the one who appointed their ambassador to the U.S. Their ambassador to the U.S. is in the Epstein files, and they got him red-handed doing creepy shit with girls with Epstein. Their prime minister that named him the ambassador knew about this. And right now, his neck might be on the chopping block. His neck might be on the chopping block right now because he hired this ambassador, hired this man and named him ambassador, knowing his relationship with Epstein before and after Epstein was arrested. Literally was emailing Epstein about when is you getting out? What's your date to get out of jail? And when you get out, we gonna have a celebration. We gonna have the right kind of celebration. I think that was the wording. We're gonna have the right kind of celebration. How crazy is that? Pay attention to what happens in the UK in the next few days. I wonder what they're gonna do. Because right now the Prime Minister of UK, his feet is on hot rocks right now. So I want to pay attention to what happens outside of this country. Is gonna be really important coming forward. Because a lot of politicians from outside of this country live in countries that don't play this shit. They don't hide their pedophiles. When they catch their pedophiles get fucked up. Okay? We had our pedophiles. I'm so shocked how many presidents all of this went through. I'm almost not shocked about Barack Obama's terms having been gone through and nothing said, because I would be willing to bet, that he looked at the stuff, or a holder came to him and said, hey man, whatever, we ain't gonna say nothing about this because this ain't our mess. This mess happened before we got here. This ain't our mess to clean up. I would not be surprised if that conversation went on. if we get involved in this, it's going to be easy for us to be disappeared. That wouldn't surprise me none. Just saying. The surprise is, though, that this came from at least George W. Bush. At least George W. Bush. All the way down to where we are today. And all of this is just starting to unravel. And now that names are actually coming out, names and the acts that were associated with the names, names and the stuff that was done by the names are coming out. Right now, it's a drip. But you know what happened when you get a drip? Pretty soon, you get a trickle. Next thing, you just got a full-blown leak. Hopefully, that'll happen pretty soon. I would hate to think that little conspiracy theory that I had earlier, I would hate to think that was true. I would hate to think that that's a snow screen to keep all of the media outlets. You know how easy it is to get the media outlets to chase something out there. They throw a stick and say fetch, and them go woo, 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 woo. They take off fetching that stick. I hope this Miss Guthrie is not a pawn to get people not thinking about these files coming out. Because the timing sure is very interesting. The timing and the situation itself is downright interesting. I'm just saying. I want to see who these people are. I want them to be trotted out in front of the cameras and labeled with the crimes that they committed on these young women and children, and apparently boys too, boys and men, because the ambassador, the UK ambassador, was doing it to men too. It's in the files. He was doing it to men too. And there was something about drugging some of the boys. Anyway, I'm going to leave it right there. We'll see where this goes. I want to see how long it's going to take for them names to start coming out. Let's see. Now, we know there was at least 20 members went into there to see those papers. I wonder who going to leak it out. I wonder who going to leak the names out. Somebody got to get them names out. Because it's about time we start hearing about some people jumping out of buildings, and rich folks falling off their yachts. You know what happens over there in Europe. All of a sudden, this guy fell off his yacht. This guy, he fell out his hotel room window. Yeah, okay. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I want to see some folks coming out, and even the guy, Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick literally had to go in and tell him, "Hey, I know I said I was only with Epstein that one day, and he was a creep. I know I said that, but I might have been to the island too. Yeah, I took my family to the island on vacation for lunch one day. We was out on the boat. I said, hey, man, where you at? We gonna drop in. He testified in front of Congress that he only met with Epstein one day. Now, of course, I don't know what kind of a person would believe that your next door neighbor only met you one day. You both rich, you both depraved, and y'all only met one day. All right. But now it comes out you've been to the island. And it's supposed to be innocent because your family was with you. My family was with me. Well, I'm pretty sure you could have took a shower after you got through with some of that depravity and got back to your family. But hey, I wasn't there. So anyway, y'all, we'll keep an eye on this. And you know what? I knew Howard Lutnick was a liar the minute he opened his mouth. That's the same guy. Howard Lutnick is the same guy that said, you must be a criminal if your Social Security check is late and you complain about it. He said only a criminal on Social Security would complain if your check is late. You must be committing fraud. He said his mother-in-law is on Social Security and she wouldn't complain if her Social Security check was late. Now, I don't know if anybody else paid any attention to that. But if I had a billionaire son-in-law, I probably wouldn't complain either if my Social Security check was late. But that's the man who we talking about. Anyway, like James say, stay prayed up. I'm out of here. Until next time. We'll see you then. Take it easy.